Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the high banks of virtual Daytona International Speedway for the quick shifts to 50 here on the Elite Racing Network for the Belly Up Sports Cup Series. My name is David Westergreen. I am joined, as always, in the booth by Zach Evans and David Huckleberry. Shout out to Sam Boutwell and Dominic Wright on race control tonight for this 250 miler from virtual Daytona at nighttime. And Zach, I wasn't with you in the booth for the Daytona 500. I was on the racetrack running in it. And, I want to throw back to it because it was a race that obviously I wasn't here to talk about, but it was a race I participated in and it was fun as a driver. But up here in the booth, what do we expect from a much potentially more wild version of this Daytona International Speedway at nighttime?
Well, I think you touched on a lot of differences between that race and this one. We'll be under the lights this time, cooler track temps. One would imagine maybe the weather will make me a liar there. We'll take a look here. There you go. So 79 degrees, still pretty warm evening as one would expect, since I'm sure the in-race date is something mid-July or early July-ish, like it would be in real life, or August. But shorter race as well. That'll be a factor. We won't be riding around for 450 miles waiting to get to the end of the race. And oh, by the way, in the first one, it's, if you don't win the Daytona 500, it's whatever. It's just the start of a long season. Tonight, we finish the regular season. We decide which drivers are going to be in the playoffs. So, very important night. Whether you're one of those guys looking to pick up some big points, one of those guys that needs a win to move on. Lots of scenarios at play. Obviously, everybody has a different strategy, but all of them require a little bit of attention to detail on the evening.
Yeah, you certainly can't just go crazy trying to go get a race win unless you're in one of those names under the green header here on our playoff scenarios graphic created by David Huckleberry himself, Ethan Stanley, Scott Crump, Zach Novak, Jonathan Cutlip, Blake Reynolds, Matthew Weeks. By virtue of being race winners this season, they are locked in. Points getters, Tyler Fody and Garrison Hogan are locked in as well. They will participate in our playoff and chase for the championship here in the next couple of weeks. So these guys can't go hard all the way through the race. But the rest of these names are names that we are going to keep an eye on tonight. You've got Gavin Hibbs. You've got David Tooker. They're pretty well locked, but a bad race could spell doom if some of these names below them have a good night. Obviously, Chad Frankenfield with the typo he made himself on his own list there as well. But Paul Mikulajczyk, Justin Wadsworth, Ethan Burrell, who is starting this one off right, Seth Rawls, Ryan Gable. Those are the cars in. Look at the names there still alive. We'll touch on just about everybody as we go through the race tonight. Now we can jump over to that starting grid as these guys are getting ready to form up and get going here tonight. You've got Ethan Burrell on the pole as that 4D Raceware Pole Award winner. He will lead the field to the green, and as a driver that needs to have a good race tonight in order to lock himself into the playoff, he is starting off very well. Justin Wadsworth will start in P2. Blake Reynolds will roll from P3. Josh Adams racing from 4th spot. Adriano Pinheiro will be running there in P5 as a extra Lake Norman Motorsports car. We'll talk about him a significant amount tonight as the IndyCar champ makes his debut. Ryan Schultz starts in P6. Then you've got Scott Crump and Corey Abbott there in row 4. Frank Fody and Kyle Hanshaw, row 5. Jeff Green and Michael Hosack in row 6.
A little further back, you see Chad Frankenfield and Ryan Gable on the 7th row. Caleb Pecumer will roll off from the 15th position. Ethan Stanley will start in 16th. Connor Thompson will roll off from the 17th position. Mark Rebelis qualifying 18th. Good qualifying effort for him. Ty McIntosh and Daniel Gore, South Shore Racing teammates, will line up beside each other on row 10. Gavin Hibbs starting in the 21st spot. Carlos Acosta qualifying 22nd. Dustin Dewar will roll off 23rd. Gerald Campbell starts 24th.
of Leighton Norgard starting in 25th alongside his Abbott Motorsports teammate of Jaden Racimus in 26th. Matthew Weeks and Harrison Talon will go from row 14. Paul Mikulajczyk and David Tooker, two guys who are currently in the playoff bubble but back in the field to start this race, 29th and 30th. Justin Vandermarl and R.C. Anderson qualifying row 16. Michael Goodman, Sean Judson, row 17. Seth Rawls and Trey Holmes make up row 18. And I usually
yeah,
say I usually take this one, but you could have it.
Well, it's my understanding with the information we were receiving from race control, Kurt Gibson qualified 37th. That will not be good enough to race this evening. Jonathan Cutlip qualified 38th. Tyler Fode 39th. Tate Lytle also going home with a 40th place qualifying effort. Johnny Thomas qualified 41st. He'll move up one row there into 39th. Gavin Higgins likewise up to 40th. Brent Jones, Gilberto Javier, Zach Novak is a start and park, and Garrison Hogan rounds out the field, if I got that right. I believe that's the information I have at the moment.
That is correct. So Tate Lytle with an odd D and Q. I would note that I think some of those guys were expecting a little bit of a different track temp adjustment as the session went on. A few guys went out really early and got some really good laps down. That's kind of when Ethan Burrell, Justin Wadsworth, Pinheiro, and others made their lap on that track right at the beginning of qualifying, and it seemed to deteriorate as the speed went. And you see some of those guys like Tate Lytle, a guy I'm not expecting to miss one of these races, even though he is no longer chartered. But Tyler Fode will be coming from the very back. Jonathan Cutlip will be coming from the very back of the field. So, you've got a lot of names moving forward. You got some of these names up front that need good results. Going to be exciting here at Daytona. We are getting ready for the end of this first pace lap. In the beginning of this race, the quick shifts 250. The pace car heads down pit road, and this field gets ready to go green. Ethan Burrell leading the field down, and he will fire off alongside his teammate Justin Wadsworth here for the beginning of 100 laps around Daytona. Justin Wadsworth at outside line gets a very strong push from Josh Adams. He moves down in front of his teammate Ethan Burrell and creates that Pro Edge Racing 1-2 on the bottom. Adams will get a push from Ryan Schold up in that top lane. And this field will maintain that 2x2 formation down this back straightaway. Zach, in the 500, it seemed like you could go 3 wide, but it was just inadvisable. You really didn't want to make that move unless you had a really big run. And I think these guys are going to be able to generate those runs, but I think it'll be a minute before we see guys taking it 3 wide.
Yeah, I think especially early on, you want to just get settled in, get some laps on the board, figure out who you're working with, how well you can work in a pack. Sure, they've been practicing for the past hour or so, but they haven't had this number of cars on track working together. They're going to have to go to school a little bit here, figure out what the package is right now, because I swear every update it changes when it comes to these drafting tracks, even though we were just here a couple of months ago. I mean, we had such a big update since the Daytona 500. That right there, that bus stop area in the road course, that had grass in it last time we were here. So, everything's a little bit different even from just that time ago.
Yep. Matthew Weeks is creating telling me I'm wrong here as he's jumped to the outside lane in the middle of the pack. And you called it, right? This group obviously is unknown, but some of these guys are familiar, right? Matthew Weeks, Gerald Campbell, they're pretty familiar. They were very formidable back in the Daytona 500. Gerald winning both his dual race and our little shootout race there at the beginning of the season. And then Matthew Weeks, obviously the Daytona 500 winner. Those guys are working aggressively up at the top of the field. Nothing really to lose for either driver. And so they're, of course, the first one's up there, but it doesn't look like that third lane is particularly quick. It's certainly not the same as we've seen from like the trucks or the Xfinity car, where you can make that third lane drive all the way up to the front of the field, basically as soon as you go up there.
Right. And I think,
crash, Dusty Dewar into the wall. He's gonna save it. Gavin Hibbs is behind him. They're gonna stack the field up significantly, but nobody really got out of shape. I don't even think this will break the field apart, but they may want to get singled out.
Yeah, they're going to definitely need to, somebody need to drop down there, and they have to get that connection back to the lead pack. Hopefully they'll be able to pull back up from there. I'm now definitely worried for, Dewar's in the wall again. Gavin is finally able to find a window to get to the bottom and get around that 32 car, but I am very concerned about the health of that 32 car after bouncing off the wall several times.
Certainly falling into the back of the field, and Gilberto's got to be careful, not lose the draft here. It's definitely a possibility in this next gen package, and it may be the case here for Dusty Dewar as he drops all the way to the back of the field. Up front, Josh Adams with a big push from Ryan Schold has taken over the race lead and moved down to the inside line to cover off Justin Wadsworth and Ethan Burrell. You've still got that 3-wide battle mid-pack just behind, but right now the outside line is led by Corey Abbott and Kyle Hanshaw. As here comes Justin Wadsworth working back to the outside of Ryan Schold, and here comes Josh Adams up the racetrack. Zach, I think the race I called, the duel I called in February, Josh Adams was doing exactly that, what we saw right there, moving around, kind of using both lanes, using the spotter, and making moves based on who was moving up alongside him. And he stayed up at the front for the whole race, but he ended up getting crashed late. And as right here, he doesn't make that same block twice. Adriano Pinero almost into the side of Josh Adams as Ethan Burrell takes the race lead with a push from Blake Reynolds.
Well, that's one thing that probably Adriano Pinero, very accomplished here in the elite racing leagues in the open wheel side. I don't know how many bump traps he has received over there in the IndyCar world. This may be a little bit of a new sensation for him that he's having to adjust to, despite being a 3-time IndyCar champion.
And if we could, Dave, if we can jump on board with Adriano Pinero, watch him draft up to the back bumper of Justin Wadsworth right here. I mean, this is a spot where a rookie driver is going to earn his stripes. And as much as Pinero is an experienced racer, he is getting his first taste of elite Belly Up Sports Cup Series action at Daytona. He's got what is effectively a teammate behind him, but you can see right now Pinero dropping down into the line here to run behind Wadsworth and Blake Reynolds, a couple of champions, in fact the last 2 champions in this league in front of him here. There's no better place to be right now than hugging that yellow line. He's been a little bit aggressive early, a little more aggressive than I was thinking he would be, but early on a good run for this open wheel champion.
Well, I think obviously the fenders are new to him, but especially in recent iterations of the iRacing IndyCar platform, he's no stranger to pack racing on oval, right? I think there's a lot of those principles that are going to carry over tonight. Now, will they help him if he goes somewhere like Iowa? No. But for tonight, he's not completely a fish in a new pond or whatever. I don't know where I was going with that analogy. I'm gonna be real honest, but it's not completely new thing for him. I don't think.
That makes perfect sense, and obviously he's going to have to run this race just like a lot of our prior, a lot of the IndyCar races, effectively that he runs on Thursday, and maintain his track position, not fall back. And right now he's doing just that up there in P6 actually, as 3 cars went around on the outside. Those were Josh Adams, Ryan Schold, and Scott Crump. They are now 1, 2, 3 on that bottom lane in front of Adriano Pinero, and you can see the pack is really formed up into the 3-wide segment behind. Corey Abbott leading the middle lane, Kyle Hanshaw working to the outside. Around him, Michael Hosak now the middle lane leader, as they're going to get in the wall a little bit down the front straightaway, but I think it stayed in momentum. Everybody was able to continue on. This pack, though, very snarling right now. The outside lane's kind of the one where people are trying to use to get up to the front. There's no calm and saving that like there was in that Daytona 500 right now. Everybody's trying to push forward. I wondered
because, oh boy, yeah, lots of dicing there. I thought somebody was out of shape, but that was just a lane change there from, I do believe, David Tooker. But to your point, I think we expected a little bit more calm, especially because typically, if we're not doing a full distance crown jewel race, it's roughly 50%, if not exactly 50%, of a real life cup race. Well, we don't quite have that tonight. It's half of a Daytona 500, but normally under the lights, you're thinking the 400, what used to be the Firecracker 400, the one sponsored by the soda drink now, and that would make tonight 200 miles, which is 80 laps. So 100 laps. You have a little bit more time. Maybe not. Nobody seems to be worried about those extra 20 laps right now.
No. And you also, you can see up on our brand new scoring pylon here to the left on your screen, this first stage has its number here. It is 30 laps. There will be points on the line, and guys in the back of our chase field are going to be hunting those points dramatically here in this first segment, which could be one of the reasons we're seeing this extra aggression at this point. You've got guys like Seth Rawls here, 3 wide in the middle, trying to jump up and grab some of those stage points. Chad Frankenfield has entered the top 10. Right now, he is surging forward. He needs some stage points. Daniel Gore is 2 cars behind him. That's a car that needs stage points. That's the first car out right now. And Gore is shoving to the middle, going underneath Caleb Pecumer. Got a push from his teammate Ty McIntosh. He's got 4 wide around Chad Frankenfield. Gore's getting back to the middle of the pack. Chad gets a piece of Gore. It's Ethan Stanley.
Gosh, I'm not sure if we've lost David Westergreen's mic there or what.
Oh my!
There he is.
I got loud. There was many. There was a lot of going on there.
Oh man, and we'll take a look at the replay before I say too much here. 4 wide, I don't recommend in any particular circumstance, but I think you're right. There was a lot of just aggression, knowing trying to get to the front, which you're still 20 laps from the stage, and I mean that's just they ran out of space going 4 wide there, and then then Chad Frankenfield's going to clip Ty McIntosh, and that's got to trigger just a massive pile up here. You see, I believe that's Carlos Acosta, Jonathan Cutlip, Corey Abbott got a piece,
Ethan Stanley, Garrison Hogan.
Fortunately, I think a lot of these cars we saw scattering, especially with all that I mentioned it, all that extra paved area. A lot of these guys were able to use that to find a place to get away. I think it looked worse than it was.
Caleb Pecumer with big damage. Yeah, it seemed like the wreck was a several spinning cars and not several cars hitting very hard.
Right. Also, with
you can see Carlos Acosta, Ty, Cutlip, Chad. Go one more shot here, and then maybe we can get the TV shot of these guys all spinning out across the racetrack.
I can't help but wonder, David, I'm going to put you in an awkward spot here, but you and I both heard Ty McIntosh say in the week leading up to this, for him it is trophy or steering wheel, and with being behind his teammate, was he the devil on Daniel Gore's shoulder saying, stick it 4 wide, Chad would do it to you, and maybe that created a bad situation. I'm not sure.
To some extent, yes, right? I think those 2 guys were both of the opinion that Calm was not going to get them into the playoff in this race, but you also have to take into consideration the way this car is running. Chad was getting side drafted on both ends. He slowed up a little bit, and I think Gore just kind of found himself underneath Chad. At that point, there's not a whole lot you can do except stay in it and hope nobody runs into you. And well, it didn't work out this time. Why don't we go ahead and take a quick commercial break here while we have an opportunity, and we'll come back for the restart.
Now let's hear about Blue Egg Marketing. Rev up your business with Blue Egg, your marketing pick. Turbocharge your lead generation with experienced drivers that can navigate the competitive track to connecting with your customers. With Blue Egg, you're always in the pole position, leading your brand toward victory lane. Don't spin your wheels, accelerate success with Blue Egg, fueling small businesses to win big.
Have you ever just forgot to hold the brakes during a wreck? Are they just not able to pronounce your name in a race?
Paul Mikolajczyk.
Have you ever been wrecked by Chad? Hi, I'm Ray Bracey, and I'm here to share with you quick shifts. Watch all the highlights, lowlights, and other shenanigans in the top racing leagues, such as the Elite Racing League, but don't just take my word for it.
Before quick shifts, I was depressed.
I wasn't able to relive my favorite moments from each race. Now with Quick Shifts, I can go out there and listen to all my favorite banter from the race while seeing all the crashes and good racing once again.
I don't remember life before Quick Shifts. I had to listen to Cameron Broke and Ty Mac and Cheese recap Oscar every week in the 3-Wide TV booth, but now, thanks to Quick Shifts, I actually enjoy my Oscar recaps.
So try Quick Shifts. You suffered through it one time, why not suffer through it again? Side effects of Quick Shifts include constipation, diarrhea, dizziness, dry mouth, abnormal heart rhythms, internal bleeding, numb tongue, unfiltered honesty, loud hiccups, laughing uncontrollably, mandatory dancing, midnight munchies, blue urine, red urine, no urine, and many more.
Welcome back to the Quick Shifts 250 here from Daytona. Josh Adams stayed on the racetrack. He will be the race leader still. Worth noting, as you note on the screen, race control has issued no tally for that incident between Daniel Gore and Chad Frankenfield. Bit of pack racing there that results in the big crash that takes at least one driver out of the event tonight. Jonathan Cutlip will not continue his pursuit of another Daytona trophy. He will, in fact, be the first retiree of the night, not named Zach Novak, who started and parked.
Going Carlos with a...
Did he wreck coming on to... No, he's still going.
He was in the wreck.
Yeah, he was in the wreck. I don't think it's still there. I think it's gone. It is still there. I think Carlos will have to come back down pit road and fix the 0-2. But we will be going racing once again. Josh Adams is on the front row. He is going to have about 10 laps of less of fuel than everybody else right now. Blake Reynolds to his outside, Scott Crump, Ryan Schull, Justin Wadsworth, and Adriano Pinero, the top 6 as we go racing once again from Daytona. Lap 15 on the board as Adams gets a really big restart on the field behind him, and it kind of opens things up. Ryan Schull ducks to the inside. They'll get out of the way of Blake Reynolds, let him and Adriano Pinero drop to the back. That inside lane surging forward. Now Reynolds finds a lane and is able to get in. Pinero stuck up on the outside.
He'll find some help sooner or later, but as it is right now, definitely keeping an eye on that rear view mirror while Josh Adams, Scott Crump pull away on the inside. When I say that, and then they go 3 wide on it.
Green tried to jump to the outside of Pinero, and that did not work. Tyler Fode jumped in behind Pinero and pushed his teammate forward. So a little of that camaraderie from Lake Norman Motorsports as Fode works in behind Pinero. Worth noting is since I called his name, that black car behind the green car up in that second in the outside lane, Tyler Fode, he started 39th on the field tonight. He just crossed the line 9th here after 16 laps. So a really good start to the night for Tyler Fode.
And you know, he'll be hungry to have a good showing tonight. Did not get to partake in the Daytona 500 to start the season. He was in the penalty box, if you will. So we'll be especially motivated to pick up a win tonight.
Very hard right now on Adriano Pinero, trying to drive that 26 car up to the race lead on the outside lane. Here he comes, Scott Crump giving a really good push to Josh Adams on the bottom. These two lanes are formed up nicely, but right now what you're seeing is that outside lane, it's really being galvanized by one car. Jeff Green's not really to the back bumper of Tyler Fode, and that's kind of stalling their momentum. Blake Reynolds right on the back bumper of Scott Crump, and that's pushing that inside line forward a little bit more right now. It's keeping Josh Adams in the race lead, and these guys, while racing, are pretty calm right now, except for Justin Vandermarl. A couple of cars back, he has gone 3 wide after Michael Hosack. He's got Matthew Weeks and Gavin Hibbs helping him. Sean Judson's shooting the middle in that 97 car just behind. And when these guys race, this stuff is really quite thrilling, but it's the risk of it getting into one of those long green flag runs. It always concerns me about these races, but when you have guys pushing it and being really aggressive like this stuff is exhilarating.
Oh, for sure. It's a lot of fun to watch. It can sometimes be fun in the car. It depends. I think you have a stronger positive opinion than I do when it comes to this stuff, to say the least. But definitely can create some hair-raising moments. You just have to be careful, especially if you're this guy right here, Josh Adams. You see him running in second right now. Did not pit on that last stop, and if this does indeed get that long green flag run to it, he's going to have to convince some people to pit with him, because otherwise he's got to be the only person running out of fuel a dozen laps before everybody else.
That's a difficult spot for Josh Adams for sure. I think he's banking on some yellow flags, and it's not a bad bank. Look who's leading the race, Zach. It's the rookie driver, the IndyCar champ, Adriano Pinheiro. He does pick up a lap lead at the line this time by 4/1000ths of a second over Josh Adams, but good work from Pinheiro. Good work with his teammate Tyler Fode. And don't look now. Here comes the train up top. Justin Vandermarl working that outside line with help from Matthew Weeks have blown away Jeff Green and Blake Reynolds. And as Scott Crump tries to jump up to the top in front of Pinheiro, they're going to stack that outside line up, and it's really going to bottle up Matthew Weeks. He jumps to the middle in front of Garrison Hogan.
And that part is probably going to be new for Pinheiro, right? That those kinds of moves are not the ones that are being made even in the pack style racing in the IndyCar. So, and you can only imagine those are going to ramp up. He's going to have to understand how these different lines work and guys making moves from one lane to the other. Now he's kind of caught in between the lanes. This is a really tricky spot.
It's a tough spot for Pinheiro. You've got to hold your lane, especially if Vandermarl gets to your outside. Got to keep that thing straight. Got to keep it steady so that you can get to the back bumper of Scott Crump, and then so that Tyler Fode can get to your back bumper and surge your whole line forward. Right now, the steadiest car belongs to that 22 of Josh Adams. He is out in front of Ryan Schull, Justin Wadsworth, Ryan Gable, and Frank Fode in the top 5 with Michael Goodman 6th in line on the bottom in that number 44 baseball car. Oh, Scott Crump almost sideways and wrecking in front of the field off the bumper of Pinheiro. Maybe a bit of a rookie push there, potentially, from the driver of that 26 car.
Quite possibly, or maybe he was a victim of getting the pusher being pushed. Hard to say with everything going on, but it definitely does not look like that 26 car is very stable. Seeing a lot more side-to-side movement, and if I had to guess, it was probably a little bit of an off-center push. There was one right there, right on the exit of 2. Scott Crump held it, but it opens the door for Matthew Weeks.
Matthew Weeks cuts to the middle, kicks Pinheiro to the high side, drafts forward with help from Blake Reynolds, and look at these two cars right here. They were both backwards back on lap 15. They've taken Ty McIntosh and Daniel Gore 6 laps to rise into the top 10. They are right behind Blake Reynolds and Matthew Weeks in that outside line. 69 and 10 moving forward, surging forward, as well as Seth Rawls right behind them in that number 25 car. All 3 of those cars are in desperation mode in terms of attempting to qualify for the playoffs today. They all need a really strong result here in this one, and if they can get stage points, especially for Daniel Gore, that is a huge momentum swing in the next 8 laps for that 69, especially after the way the race started, where he was spun backwards on the back straightaway.
Yeah, absolutely. We entered the night, Daniel Gore 11 points out of the playoff picture. Obviously, that could change depending on who wins tonight. If it's one of those drivers outside the playoff bubble that picks up a win, then the playoff cutoff moves. But either way, you pick up 7 or 8 stage points here. That's a long way towards eating into that 11-point gap.
Points. Not insurmountable at all for Daniel Gore, and he's got his teammate Ty McIntosh right behind. Ty needs a win. He certainly is capable of winning at these plate races, but the two of them, I think they used their mulligan early, right? That you get caught up in a wreck, especially with this next gen car, you can fix it. You can get it back out there. You can get back in the pack and move forward. It's okay, but you probably don't get 2, right? So. Right. They use their one. They need to kind of stay firm here and not get involved in another one.
And while we're talking about this playoff picture, it's worth noting, I know this applies to Ty McIntosh and Daniel Gore, but they are not alone in this. You look at Daniel Gore, he could probably get in with a good points night, but Ty needs to win. You look at Fueled Up Racing, where Josh Adams needs to win. Or excuse me, Shift Esports, where Josh Adams needs to win, Seth Rawls needs a good points night. You look through this, there are lots of those combinations where it's like if it gets to the end of the race, you've got those teammates working together. How do you work that? How do you make that work, especially if you start looking around and doing the math, which I don't do, and you say even a good points night isn't enough. You've got 2 teammates that need to win.
Right. 2 more that are up here, Chad Frankenfield and Ryan Schull. Chad can he's obviously in right now. Ryan Schull would need a race win. So, those two, I would say, don't particularly usually lock up together. But we could see it, right? Late in this race, we could certainly see it from Chad Frankenfield and Ryan Schultz. So the teamwork and the guessing games of how the points are going to shake out is really something you can't worry about, I don't think, as a team, as Matthew Weeks surges to the race lead with help from Blake Reynolds and Daniel Gore. You just have to go out there and race, try to do as well as you can, and then coming down to the white flag or the last lap or whatever, you just have to see what happens, right? So I wouldn't do any calculations as Daniel Gore starting to shuffle up that outside line. They need a car in front of him right now. That car is a little bit damaged, and I think it's going to slow up this outside line a little bit, but Scott Crump's going to jump up there with him, as is Blake Reynolds and Josh Adams. But yeah, you can't do the calculations on hand, right? You just got to go race, and you got to make the moves that feel right to you. And in the moment, right? If you're going for a race win and you need one to get in, even if it's your teammate, you got to go for it.
You got to go for it. Unfortunately, that's the byproduct of this playoff system. As the workaround, I believe that is Caleb McCumer.
Yep. 59.
So he is a lap down now, but presumably in a good spot. I'll look at my timing and scoring here, but I would imagine that puts him in the free pass spot should a caution come out.
It will, but his car looks pretty beat up. So he may not be able to hang on to the pack, and that may be short-lived where he is one lap down. So remember, in elite belly up sports competition, if you go 6 laps down naturally, you will be parked for the remainder of the event. We don't have wrecked cars trundling around out here with no hope of repair.
Ooh. Is that Dustin Dewar there going 3 wide?
Yep, making a big move on the back straightaway. Bottom lane currently the strong lane, as the middle lane kind of is getting choked up by this 3 wide action in the back of the field right now. Josh Adams leading that middle lane about 6 or 7 cars back.
Chad Frankenfield jumped in front of him.
Yep.
And then they lost all their help.
Chad going 3 wide? Well, I'm shocked, I tell you. Ryan Gable moves up to the middle lane. Up at the front of the field, he will get a big push from Josh Adams. And Gable and Gore are the 2 cars on the 16th and 17th spots in points right here. And really, Gore needs to get some stage points, but he can't really do that at the expense of pushing Ryan Gable to the stage win.
Yeah, and the other thing to keep in mind, if you're new to the Belly Up Sports Cup Series, while this stage is coming up here, there is not a caution at the end of the stage. We will stay green flag racing, assuming they don't all wreck trying to fight for this stage win. So that they have to weigh that in as well. Keep that in mind as we battle towards the end of lap 30 here.
Big push coming. The energy is really building in this outside lane with Crump, Gable, Adams, Gore all nose to tail right now. I do believe this outside line is going to surge forward here shortly. And I think they're kind of timing it up nicely because they're going to start surging forward right as we get towards 1 to go. And that may be the ticket to get a lead change here at the end of the stage. But then you have to consider these guys up front jumping out in front of you once you get that big run going, as Carlos Acosta goes a lap down on the paved runoff area.
I think that's 6.
So Carlos may be done for the evening after that early crash. Unfortunate for the driver of the 0-2 car. Outside line not really moving forward. Once this inside line took over with Blake Reynolds and Matthew Weeks, it's been all those 2 drivers. We're going to see if anybody's got anything for them as we get to the end of this stage. 3 wide move from Garrison Hogan. Push from Justin Vandermarl. Locks up the South Shore cars. Vandermarl down into the South Shores, and it'll be Gavin Hibbs wrecking. Big caution. Big wreck in turn 2. Looks like it started with Vandermarl, but Gavin Hibbs was the car most heavily involved. That is one of our drivers hoping to get into the chase on points. It may be very much a done deal for Gavin Hibbs. We'll see.
Well, he was 62-2 to good coming in. Oh, contact from Tyler Fody, it looks like. Not sure if...
Man.
Lots of cars in it. That's Chad Frankenfield in it.
Yep. Corey Abbott, Dustin Dewar, R.C. Anderson, Adriano Pinero, Paul Mikolajczyk, Jaden Racimus, Jeff Green.
Jeff Green, it looked like, took a pretty heavy head-on shot into the fence.
Tyler Fode with big damage. I think you mentioned him. Gilberto's got damage. Gavin Higgins has damage. This is about a 15-car pileup here in turn 2. Kicked off when Vandermarl got a piece of the wall, and it slowed up Hibbs, who got into Tyler Fode, and that's where it kicked this whole thing off. It's like Leighton Norgard and Sean Judson are going to get some damage but get through. Mick Elisha gets some damage but through. A good car to go on board with would be Brent Jones, who snakes through, though I think the loading rate of the wreck was a little bit hefty in this one.
Yeah. Let's keep it moving.
Flashed up meatball flag for Tyler Fode, meatball for Corey Abbott and Gavin Hibbs. So those are the cars that are most heavily damaged in this wreck. Blake Reynolds will win the stage. He will pick up an extra playoff point. Worth noting that Daniel Gore did not get stage points. Ryan Gable did get stage points.
So that'll widen that gap between the two guys who were closest on the bubble.
Yeah. Yep, the way the momentum shifted there, it was not something that worked out particularly well for Daniel Gore there. As here comes everybody down pit road. Josh Adams very thankful to see this caution. He did pick up a stage point, but he was going to be the first car that needed to come down pit road before anybody else there. So the 22 may take a little longer to get through on pit road here than everybody else because he'll fuel that car up a lot more. Ryan Schold first off pit road.
Have to imagine we saw some either 2 tires or fuel only there.
I think fuel only for sure from Schold, Fode, and Ethan Stanley, the top 3 that came off pit road there. I think those guys are not concerned with the tire wear on this car right now.
Not usually an issue at Daytona.
Right. Yep, there we go. We got the pit times for you. Look at that. They're all about the same. So I think those 3 did do fuel only. Here's a car that took tires. Scott Crump. Blake Reynolds, that's probably a 4-tire stop right there.
There's definitely 2 schools of thought, right? There's especially under caution. You know, green flag, you want to be on pit road as little as possible. So fuel only. Maybe 2 tires if you have time for it and it won't slow down to fuel stop. But caution, some guys will be like, this might be my only chance to put on 4 tires. And I might need those really late into a long green flag run. So let me take them while I can. I'll give up a little bit of track position to get some fresh rubber.
Yeah, and the way this next gen car bobbles and weaves around, I do wonder if tires won't be a little bit helpful as we see that Justin Vandermarl does get the tally in that 54 car for kicking that wreck off, getting into the outside wall. Let's bring up Corey Abbott real quick since he was involved in that last wreck.
All right.
And to talk to Kerchow, Corey Abbott. Unfortunate night for you there. Running up front for a little bit, but got caught up in that wreck. Tell us what you saw.
I'll be honest. I didn't see much of anything. I'd been getting phantom calls since the beginning of the race with the wrecks in the corner. So I got a call they were wrecking in turn 1. I didn't see anything from where I was. I couldn't. And then all of a sudden, it's just a wall of cars that are not moving. I didn't really have a chance.
That's disappointing for sure. But I just don't. How was the drafting out there? Did you feel like you could make some moves? It seems like everybody's pretty racy for this early in the race.
Yeah, I think when it came down to the nitty gritty, I was trying to wait it out early on because I saw people were getting pretty aggressive early on. And with that first wreck, I wanted to take it easy. I wanted to make it to the end. Needed a win to make the playoffs. Yeah, I thought, we could go anywhere we needed to. It felt fast in the draft. You could build some crazy runs. yeah, it's a disappointment for sure.
Gotcha. Anybody to shout out here before we send you off, Corey?
I got to shout out the teammates, Leighton and Jaden. They've stuck it out all season with me through my quite tumultuous endeavors every race. So huge shout out to them for putting up with me. Huge shout out to you guys for broadcasting every week. I love to hear your calls on quick shifts. They always entertain me, even when they're about me messing up.
Well, we appreciate it, Corey, and good. Better luck next week, and we'll see you next time.
All right, thanks, guys.
That was driver of the 21 Abbott Motorsports car, Corey Abbott. Back on the racetrack, Ryan Schold has entered the restart zone and restarted the Quick Shifts 250 lap 34 of 100 on the board. He'll have help from Ethan Stanley as Frank Fody and Scott Crump try and wind that outside lane up. We get back racing. These guys, I don't think, are going to settle out at all. I think this is going to be one of those Daytona nights where everybody feels like they can win, and you have to keep making moves to put yourself in a position to do so.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Ooh, a little bit of dicing further back there, but I think as far as we'll see a couple of those cars who were involved in the incident, if they're able to get, if they still have some speed in them, but we didn't really lose any of our, especially our guys above the cutoff, so it hasn't really opened any doors for anybody further back in the playoff picture.
Right, as Frank Fody leads this lap in that 41 car. What you're saying is absolutely true, right? Jonathan Cutlip's down, but he was locked into the field, right? So Tyler Fody's locked into the field. Gavin Hibbs is a big loss, I think, but he was pretty far up, as you mentioned, with some 60-point gap there. I mean, it's going to be very difficult for any of these guys to point their way over Gavin Hibbs. He should be pretty well locked into our field for the playoff picture as they go around Dusty Dewar. This is going to be an awkward spot for the field to clear by a lapped car. Man, they'll make it work. They're ready for it.
You raced in the Daytona 500, David. I feel like every car is different. Do you prefer when you catch those lap cars if they don't have the ability or the option, or they're trying to catch the tail of the draft so it doesn't behoove them to just bail out completely to the apron? Do you want them on the bottom or on the top with this car?
This car, I think you want them as far away from you as possible. So apron, very top.
I didn't give you that option.
Right. So
that option off the table.
So outside would be my preferred, right? If you have to move up, if you're that car on the bottom, if you're Frank Fody, Scott Crump right now, if you had to move up a lane, you're getting a lot closer to a Leighton Norgard. He'll side draft the 90 off the back bumper of the 41, but he's not doing that right now, right? He's running up higher in the corner and letting those two cars stay close together. So I would much rather that outside car go to the wall and let us stream by on the bottom than risk me having to move up the track, get side drafted, and lose a lot of momentum.
I think as a general rule of thumb, that was always my preference in these super speedway races. There are some cars, I could see this being one of them, where you almost don't want to risk seeing that damaged car near the fence, right? Because then it might end up in the fence and then really bad things happen. So I could definitely see it either way, but I think what you're saying is usually how I feel about it.
Yeah, I think looking at this field, we've got so many really talented drivers. And maybe 5 years ago when I first started, you'd want to see those guys hold the bottom so that you could go around on the top. But now I trust everybody in this league to be able to keep it off the wall at this level, right? These guys need to be able to do that. If you don't do that, I mean, you'll get slammed with a penalty. We've seen people go into that penalty box a lot this season with those tallies. Here's a guy who's already got a tally in the race going three wide down the middle. So
you don't love to see that. I gotta be honest.
He made it work.
He made it work, and I understand his position. He didn't get any stage points, so he's got to get on the horse. He's got to get himself in position to win this race. That's almost, it's not quite his only shot, but it hurt his chances where he ended up in the stage. But at the same time, we've still got 63 laps, fellas. We're going to come to pit road at least one more time. Like, you don't have to win it right now.
Frank Fody continues to lead this race with help from Scott Crump. I look at the Van der Marle aggression right now, right? I mean, that's who we're talking about, Justin Van der Marle. He's being very aggressive. He obviously, with a mistake, kicked off that first track that second wreck. But he's a guy that needs, like you said, he needs to win the race. He's got race winning experience on a plate track, right? It was the newly repaved Atlanta Motor Speedway, but he did pick up a Belly Up Sports Cup Series victory at that racetrack. So he's got the experience, and then looking around him, right? Fueled Up Racing has a soft alliance with Pro Edge Racing, and so he's got a Pro Edge car right in front of him. Matthew Weeks, he's got one behind in Justin Wadsworth. Justin Vandermarl is in an excellent spot, working with friends. He can very easily win this race. So the aggression is noted, right? And what you saw there was he didn't feel like a Lake Norgard was doing a good enough job pushing on the outside lane. They were losing spots. Jumped to the middle, got around him. If that turns into a wreck and he gets removed from the race, well, so be it. He wasn't going to win. He wasn't going to win anyway at that point. So, I think I understand the aggression, and I understand the calculated move there to move Norgard out, because look at the run building right now with Gerald Campbell, Josh Adams, Matthew Weeks pushing that outside line. It's a lot stronger right now. They're going for the lead.
Absolutely. That outside line moving to the front. Josh Adams leading the way. Is Frank Fody got to try to slow that down. Nope, he holds the bottom for now. Scott Crump in tow as we start the 41st lap of the BOJO's Quick Shifts 250.
If I'm looking at these two Lake Norman Chevys right now, I don't think Frank comes off that bottom lane. I think Scott and Frank say, hey, if Adams and Campbell jump in front of us, fine, right? We'll be all right. We can potentially go up to the top and get a run and try to go back around them. But for now, we've got the race lead. Even if we lose the race lead, we're in a good spot. Let's just chill here. Oh, Crump blew up. Scott Crump blew the motor. Oh, no. Well, you can't have that.
Oh. And
they're going to whack here. Yep. Kyle Hanshaw. Ethan Burrell is in it. Oh, Ethan Burrell has big damage. Yeah, Crump blew the motor. And that's going to... Oh, I think it's just Burrell and Harrison Talon, I believe. But looks like Crump blew up. Oh, heartbreaking. Frank Fody's best drafting partner there, and lost the motor, and then there it goes.
On board with Harrison Talon here.
I really thought they were going to get through this without wadding him up. Oh my! It was David Tooker that got a piece of Ethan Burrell at the top of the racetrack there. I don't think Burrell has a ton of damage, but he would be some... Oh, no, Burrell does have a ton of damage. Left front tire not turning on the 37 car right now.
Now that is... 31 points to the good coming into the night. But, boy, he would... That'd be tough, only getting a small handful of points tonight. That could be somebody to keep an eye on by the end of the race. If he's not able to get that car back on track.
I don't think he will be. So the guy that could point his way in, we talked about him before, is Daniel Gore, who is still on the racetrack, currently running 25th, but I think he and Ty McIntosh were hanging back there and checked up for that wreck. Everybody on pit road, I don't believe you can make it to the end from here.
No, but it gives you options. Top off here. Oh.
I'm assuming it's right about the same number that was for the 500, which was about 30 to 40 laps in there. So yeah, you'll probably have one more stop after this. My goodness, what a wild night here from Daytona. Third caution of the race. All three cautions were for big incidents involving big names. Jonathan Cutlip taking out in an early wreck on the back straightaway involving Daniel Gore and Chad Frankenfield and a few others. Second caution was a gigantic wreck in turn 2. Took out Tyler Fody and others. And you'll note that Scott Crump gets the tally there for the blown motor. Yeah. But, that's a tough spot. I think Scott did about everything he could have other than not blow the motor. And
yeah,
I know, he didn't want to. So
no, right. He honestly, he did exactly what you want to do in that situation. Get to the apron as quickly as you can. Try to let everybody by once you realize you're in trouble. But boy, entrance of 3 is about the worst place that can happen, right? Because now you're trying to go onto the flat. You're trying to reduce your speed without going back onto the banking, and he almost pulled it off, but I mean the field was obviously bearing down on him, and it led to that incident.
Nothing effectively. This Scott Crump could have done it
No.
extra there.
No.
One of those tallies that it'll go on his record, but have a clean race next week. It'll be gone. You won't have to worry about it again. Yeah. So just it's frustrating for sure from a car that's been one of our strongest competitors and championship contenders for this season. But you look at the championship contenders that have struggled in this race: Jonathan Cutlip out, Tyler Fode out, Gavin Hibbs, one of the highest up points drivers, out. Scott Crump now out. David Tooker, Ethan Burrell struggling with damage, right? There's a lot of open doors, I think, in this race, the way this is going, for somebody to jump up here and either clinch their spot in the playoff or, play spoiler to somebody who is in the playoff and knock them out, right? So a couple of different agendas there, but some of these guys have a really good chance to pick up maybe their first win of the season for a few of these guys, first win in a long time for those two guys on the bottom of the racetrack right here at the front of the field. Josh Adams and Gerald Campbell, it's been a few years for both of them. I'll let you do the math on that one, but for Gerald, I think it's like 3 full years, so 6 elite racing seasons. Josh, it might be right around the same. He might be a couple seasons less.
All right. Hold on. Hold your horses.
We got half a lap. We're good. We got plenty of time. We can always get back to this fact. But
the last Gerald Campbell Elite Cup Series win I'm seeing is Talladega in May of 2021.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That is 4 real life years.
So, or as the kids
9
say,
elite, 9 elite Belly Up Sports Cup Series seasons.
Yep. And then for Mr. Adams,
I think Adams was 23. Would be my wager, 22 or 23.
Atlanta in May of 23. Yes.
Look at that.
So,
yep, two real life years for Josh Adams, 4 real life years for Gerald Campbell. Without a race win in this series. Both of those guys are former, top end drivers in this series back in the day. Obviously, the way this league has blown up around them, they're now, they're hunting wins far less often than they were in years past, but they certainly could turn the clock back a little bit tonight. And as we get ready to restart after our third caution flag of the day, I would say the door is wide open for a win like that. Josh Adams with a really good restart in front of Gerald Campbell, Justin Vandermarl, and Justin Wadsworth up to the outside. We talk about Wadsworth as a champion. Worth noting, he's only got 1 race win in this series. It was that Kentucky win he used to walk off and get into the championship race, which he did not win. Scott Crump won that race, but Wadsworth was the top finishing championship contender in that race. So Wadsworth's another guy. He could sure use another race win, especially to lock himself into the playoff as he's currently in, but on points right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you mentioned, the 1 career win, but also the 1 championship. We saw him win in Chicago, but that was not a points paid elite event of any description. Just a little fun we had at this very track while we were at the Sim Gaming Expo.
That's a good one. Wadsworth was able to pull that one off. I don't think any driver that's actually in the field today was at that race, though.
Johnny was in the race.
Johnny Thomas says the other one. Yeah. I was thinking because Ray Bracey's not here. Ray was also in there.
Ray Bracey is not here.
It was a good crew, though, and it was cool to see Justin Wadsworth pick up that race win. And right now he's working to get Justin Vandermarl back up to the race lead up in that top groove. He has help from Blake Reynolds and Frank Fode. And then there's Johnny Thomas, his Sim Racing Expo race buddy. On the bottom lane, you've got Adams, Campbell, Matthew Weeks, Ryan Gable, another guy with a small winless drought that would love to get his name etched on a trophy for the first time in a while. Since COTA 2024, I believe.
That sounds right.
3 seasons for Ryan Gable without a race win. His last race win was a road course, go figure. here comes another guy looking for his first win. That's Paul Mikolajczyk in the Channel 199, number 77. He's going to have a big push from Ethan Stanley. Mikolajczyk's currently locked in on points, but he could certainly use a win to boost the confidence of that driver right now. And Paul is working the outside lane. Great push from Stanley, trying to move up into the vicinity of the race leaders here. And Zach,
Yep, go ahead.
The way this is racing, as Stanley and Mikolajczyk kind of side draft Adams and Campbell and get the race lead, it races like the duel did when we were at Daytona back in February. So, or I guess this would have been August for this season, but it races like the nighttime, right? The duel. It felt like you could push and have two cars make a big difference in that race. Then when you got to the 500, it did not feel that way. So if this is like the duel, Ryan Gable was very good in the duel. He and I worked together very well, but I also think Josh Adams had a really good duel. Johnny Thomas had a really good duel. Some of these guys that are up here are not surprising given what this racetrack is feeling like and looking like after racing those duel races.
I think you hit on a big thing there. Those duels obviously run under the floodlights at night. So it sounds crazy, but it does have a huge impact on how these races play out, how they feel behind the wheel. Those runs you're able to generate with some cooler temperatures without the sun baking down on you. But of course, there's that double-edged sword, and we've already seen that with Scott Crump. You gotta be careful not to overdo those pushes, run your temps up, blow up an engine trying to make those pushes happen. One guy making the push happen right now, Johnny Thomas, just fires Frank Fody back out to the lead.
Frank has been very consistently up in the front of the field here tonight. Johnny Thomas with an excellent push to the rear bumper of the BOJO sponsored number 41 South Shore Racing entry. And yeah, Frank's had a really good run tonight. That's going to be a good one to think back on for fans of the Lake Norman and South Shore group there, with Frank working hard to put together a nice result. He's won a race, one of the plate races here, I believe at Talladega in the Xfinity Series on Monday nights. So Frank is no stranger to winning these types of races. As here comes Blake Reynolds, push from Paul Mikolajczyk. Field surges back forward, and as they do, I want to bring in Scott Crump for a quick interview here as we are still side by side for the lead. Reynolds does take it over, but to bring Scott in, Scott looked like a blown motor. Pushing Frank, looked like things were going really well, and then it just seemed like it barely overcooked. Take us through what happened out there.
Yeah, we were in great shape there. The bottom is where you want it to be. I was pushing Frank out front. Felt like I was managing my attempts pretty good. And, I got a warning there, and for like a split second, and then she blew. Didn't give me much of anything. I didn't even have time to jump down, cool it off, or anything. She just blew.
It's disappointing, obviously, but since you're locked in, I mean, seems like it's just one of them things, and you'll be able to take what looks to be, a solid championship run up next week and into the playoffs.
Yeah, nothing really hurt too much with that. Maybe lose a position in points or so, a couple points difference there. But yeah, I don't know. For some reason, you're pushing people out there, and if you're pushing them real hard, they'll get like a netcode damage. You'll see back on Josh's, on the back end of his car, you'll see damage on the back end. That was from me. So I don't know if that played a factor in my car blowing up and getting hot really fast or what. But I definitely felt like the speed slowed down as soon as that happened.
Oh, gotcha. Well, tough break for you, Scott. Any shout outs here before we send you off tonight?
Yeah, just shout out to my team. We're having a rough night tonight, but hopefully Frank can bring it home, or somebody, or Gavel can good finish and get into playoffs. So be rooting for him here. And Stay Tuned Sports Podcast and Blue Egg Marketing, JD Designs, and hopefully we'll be ready for the playoffs.
Appreciate it, Scott. We'll talk to you next week, and hopefully your team can follow up for you.
All right, thank you.
Scott Crump. Up front, Blake Reynolds and Gerald Campbell and Josh Adams have been dicing it up for the race lead. Now Reynolds has it with a push from Adams.
Well, you talk about that push. I think, once Scott Crump mentioned it in that interview, I kind of recalled that being an issue that we ran into during the 500 and speed weeks that, you had to be a little careful with the pushes because it could damage either the leading or trailing car, and that could create some issues. So kind of interesting to see that come up again.
Chad Frankenfield.
I
Falling
don't think
back.
he has it. I was about to say that must be an
It's
old
just,
X.
well, no, it's not even old. It's automatic. You just throw that one up there just in case, because
Well,
usually
yeah,
it's.
He usually
have
is.
one
But he
today.
doesn't have one yet.
It's the default
He doesn't have
setup.
one yet.
How many laps down is that for Chad? I think that's only the first time I've seen him go a lap down. Yeah, that is his first lap down. So Chad will be working to stay in the draft here. Looks like that 15 car is up to pace in the pack. He'll have to hope that the caution flag comes out before he loses the draft again with that damage. You're 3 wide right around him right now. So Starling Pack Ty McIntosh kind of got shuffled to the outside by Ryan Schold. Might work out for Ty. He's kind of surging forward here, but I think he's going to stall out. There's just nobody up there in front of him.
Yeah, he needs more friends. Yeah, I don't think he's got to get them at this point.
At that point, you kind of have to side draft, and hope that somebody slows up just enough to give you that gap you can jump in line. But with Handshot jumping down, maybe that creates the door. No, it's not going to be there.
No.
Ty McIntosh is going to go to the back here. Maybe not. Got a friend right in front of Ryan Schold. Daniel Gore, his teammate there. They're going to try to get Ty pulled forward, I think, but I don't know if there's any way he can be.
Well, the thing he's worried about now, or he should be worried about, the more that he side drafts, the further his friends got to get away. They can't lose this pack here.
No, they can't. They gotta figure it out, and I think they will. There's a spot for Ty right there in front of Goody. Yep. So everything goes back to 2 wide throughout this field. Currently on the racetrack, we have 34 cars. We're down 9 cars from the start of the race due to crash damage and 1 blown engine. But a lot of guys that are, I think, would be considered favorites or guys you'd expect to be up at the front out of this race early. Here's our new race recap. There you go. We got 14 lead changes already. Our 3 cautions that we've mentioned. Blake Reynolds, the current race leader in the 66 car for Channel 199 Sim Racing. It's been a wild race. Those wrecks have been big, but right now it's about as calm as it's been.
Yeah, I wonder, we're 15 laps into this now, so, it's certainly not the end of the pit window or anything by any means, but I think you have reached the point of the run where you start trying to think big picture and start figuring out who you're going to be working with when that pit window comes around and all of that fun stuff.
Yeah, the window is going to open up here in the next 5 to 10 laps where you could pit and make it to the end. Ultimately, I don't believe any of these guys are going to make that short jump. You have to go with the pack basically in this giant group. But if we get a yellow flag in the next couple of laps, I think these guys are going to try to make it to the end on fuel. It seems like right now is that part of the race where let's try to get to that point where we can make it to the end, and then we'll go racing. Looking in this group, and I want to call out some attention to them while they're still running well. Shift Esports has 3 cars lined up in that outside lane. Obviously, they've got P2 Josh Adams right now. He's been up front all day long. Seth Rawls, Gilberto Javier, and Connor Thompson are all lined up nose to tail behind Gerald Campbell in the outside lane. Connor Thompson was a underdog story from the duels, where he raced his way into the 500, had a stellar drive. I think he finished 3rd in that duel race. Gilberto's had a bit of a tumultuous season, but the last time we went to Daytona in a separate series, he picked up his first league win over there at Daytona. He has certainly started to really come around on these plate tracks, and I think that 85 car running as well as it is right now in a spot where you've got teammates in front of you and behind you, that's a spot where he could really excel, and I think Gilberto could really have a good run here tonight. And I think I think his top finish in this series is like 18th, which he got earlier this season. He's currently on pace to smash that, so that'd be cool to see.
It would be cool to see him get a good run, maybe a top 10 or even better tonight. We'll definitely keep an eye on that car. Like you say, has shown some muscle at the super speedways here and elsewhere.
Humor, Adriano Pinero heading a lap down, unfortunately, for the Lake Norman Motorsports Group. As Scott mentioned, it has been a tough night for those guys as they head to the back of this field, and they're going to try to latch on, but I don't know if those cars are fully up to snuff where they're going to be able to.
Yeah, you can see the gap already opening between Pecumer and Dustin Dewar. And Adriel Pinheiro did not quite get down very efficiently to help with that cause either. I think you're right. They're probably going to fall off the tail of this pack.
Yep, the damage just too severe for the pair of them. Ethan Stanley, Gerald Campbell have worked their way forward, and they're now right there alongside Paul Mikolajczyk, trying to continue to push forward to challenge Blake Reynolds for the lead. Josh Adams has been content to draft in second behind Blake Reynolds for the last several laps, but as Ethan Stanley gets closer, let's see if Reynolds makes a move up to the outside lane. He does not. Great push by Gerald Campbell, pushing Ethan Stanley to the race lead and initiating yet another one of our lead changes.
Johnny Thomas. Wow, man, Ethan Stanley just barely sealing off Blake Reynolds there.
Teamwork there by those two Channel 199 Toyotas. Stanley gets the push from Gerald Campbell, abandons him as soon as that car was clear, and he was not clear by very much. And now big push from Blake Reynolds to Ethan Stanley, and it's gapping the push being pushed by Seth Rawls onto Gerald Campbell.
Yeah, just completely. Uh-oh. Who'd we lose?
Ethan Stanley.
Not from the lead.
And again,
No, from the lead.
Oh. And that has allowed that second lane. Yeah.
Wow. Happen. Oh, man. Once you have it happen, it seems like there's just nothing you can do. I've seen so many guys, like Ray Bracey's had it happen just like 3 or 4 different times where once it happens a time or two, it just seems to keep happening over and over again. And I know Ethan's been very diligent in trying to fix that problem. He's identified it as an issue on the computer. He's identified it as an issue with the internet. They've had various problems, but the fact that the same guys kind of always tend to lose their packets and drop out of the race, and it is very disappointing, very frustrating for sure for Ethan Stanley. And anybody else who's dealing with that is here comes Seth Rawls with a push from Gilberto. Rawls is going to jump down in front of Josh Adams.
And there's one of those guys we're keeping an eye on, right, in that playoff conversation. Was good on points coming into the evening, but a win would eliminate all doubt. Now Seth Rawls out front here. Indy BOJO's Quick Shifts 250.
And look at what happened to this field. Once Channel 199 lost that lead, lost Ethan Stanley up at the front of the field, it has suddenly turned this race into a Shift Esports group here. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4 up at the front, holding 2 drivers in both lanes. Now, Connor Thompson needs to get on the back bumper of Gilberto. Otherwise, that outside line is going to fade back pretty drastically here. But right now, I mean, I wonder if these guys are starting to save fuel a little bit. There's not nearly as much shoving and pushing. A lot more space between the cars. You know, the outside line not really falling back nearly as hard. I don't know. Maybe there is something going on, but I know they can't make it to the end. So, very interesting spot. I'm just not seeing the same energy, the same runs, the same aggression that we were seeing earlier in the event.
Right. I wonder if it is, you know, are they saving fuel, trying to shorten that pit stop should it come under green? Are they worried about temps? We saw the Scott Crump blow up. Are they starting to see those temps creep up? Maybe, especially if it is an issue with some of those bump drafts creating some nose damage that can cause those temperatures to rise. That just hard to tell right now. Maybe it's just a simple case of wanting to ride, wanting to wait till they get to that pit stop, so they're not forcing the issue, and there's nothing more to read into it than that.
There's two guys who are not riding. Those two guys have gone 3 wide. That is Ty McIntosh and Daniel Gore working that outside lane, trying to surge forward that way. And that might be a fun onboard shot to get in on with Daniel Gore to see as he makes that progress forward. How this 69 car drafts through up on that top groove side. Yeah, he's got a big push from Ty, but they don't really have that much help. They're going to have to rely on the side draft. They're going to have to rely on Ty not getting that car too hot. You can see the push isn't really there, I don't think, for these two, but they don't have anything to lose, right? Those cars are a little bit damaged. They're trying to do whatever they can to move forward.
Yeah, I mean, you can see here just how close you have to run to that fence when you're on the outside of 3 wide.
They're about to have to stop up. Connor Thompson went way up the racetrack here. He's stopping in front of Daniel Gore right now. They're going to have to drop back. Connors does not have the pace right now to be able to carry these two along, and you can see just what that did to them. They lost all those spots.
Yep, got to be a complete reset for those guys.
Could be okay, right? Could have gotten them out of a big wreck coming up.
We'll see.
You don't want to be right there, though. I can promise you that.
No, you want to get away from that ASAP.
Chad may lose the pack. That car is very damaged. Looks like Ty and Daniel are able to catch up. So too is Connor Thompson. I'm not sure what happened to Thompson. He was second on the outside lane last time through, and then all of a sudden went way up the racetrack.
And on driver chat is scream.
That'll do it.
That'll do it. Every time. 10 times out of 10.
That will do it. The fact that he was able to not wreck and stayed in the top lane, very impressive.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that usually is a 30-car pileup. So, yeah, I don't know if it was talent, good fortune, what, but whatever it was,
both.
Good stuff.
Good work as Seth Rawls leads this race with help from Josh Adams, Gerald Campbell, Blake Reynolds. Top lane is led by Gilberto Javier, being pushed by Gavin Higgins and Garrison Hogan. First time we've mentioned Hogan's name today. He is locked into the playoff hunt for Channel 199, though no race wins this season or last for Garrison Hogan. It's certainly something he would like to alleviate with a bit of a winless drought in this Belly Up Sports Cup Series, despite having a significant amount of pace, several podiums, just no race wins of late for driver 55.
Former Daytona 500 winner Garrison Hogan.
Yeah, he can certainly win it again, as Gavin Higgins is a bit all over the place right there in that 20 car. He is sliding back and forth on the bumper of Gilberto. A little bit of loose is fast, though. Those guys are starting to push forward, even with Gavin kind of being all over the place.
Gavin's usually the one that drops out after we lose.
Right. It's you talked about that. It's about right. If it's not Ray or Daniel Gore, those are the other two that tend to drop out a lot. They are going to lap by Ethan Stanley, who is going to be 4 laps down now.
But I mean, obviously this doesn't help him as far as getting back in the race for the win. But remember, if it is a disconnect situation, you get those laps are kind of given to you on grace. So he is not 2 laps away from being eliminated from the race. He's probably only 1 lap down as far as the counter goes.
Right. He just needs to hope for a lot of yellows, basically, is what Ethan Stanley's hoping for. But the way this race is starting to shape up, it seems like the yellows are a little bit by the wayside. Seems like we've gotten the over-aggression out of our systems, and now we're trying to kind of in that super speedway lull, as it were. I kind of like to think of it as that. You're now thinking ahead, planning your next move. When do you pit? How many tires do you take? I think these guys, the strategy isn't really there on this pit stop. It's fuel only. The
strategy is not the pit stop. It's not there. The strategy is you're having the conversations right now. Who is pitting with us?
Right. Who's pitting with us? What lap are we going to pit to take our fuel only stop? How many can we get to move down with us? How
many gallons of fuel are you putting in?
Yep. It's and you're also doing this while in this pack 2 wide.
Yes.
Or if you're Seth Rawls, Josh Adams, you're having these conversations while you're leading the race and trying to maintain the speed of that bottom lane. It's, I always like to think of it as like a game of chess, right? You're thinking about your moves down the road while you're still setting up for moves currently on the board. It's one of the reasons I like super speedway racing, because of the thinking game that it becomes. But it's not always fun to watch the thinking game, right, Zach?
Right. No, for sure. And especially, I mean, we talk about the fuel mileage thing, right? Okay. So on one hand, we have a benefit of iRacing and the digital assets in our favor. You can literally tell it down to a tenth of a gallon how much fuel you want to put in during a pit stop. You're not limited to half a can or 1 can or 2 cans or whatever. And that somewhat mirrors the real life, we need 3 seconds of fuel, where, they're 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, go. However, you don't have a crew chief making that decision for you while you're driving in most of these guys' cases. Some of them probably do, but for the most part, that's something you are having to dial in while you're
There's some caution. Kyle Hanshaw got spun sideways. I saw him hit another car. Caleb Pecumer got spun around. I don't know who else got involved, but I did see Kyle Hanshaw go spinning sideways to effectively end the potential need for that green flag pit stop.
There you go. Oh, boy.
This changes everything.
Forget everything we were just talking about.
And as much as you plan for your green flag pit stop, as many plans as you lay,
yep,
it can all be unraveled by one incident, and it looks like Justin Wadsworth
just wanders up the track and gets into Kyle Hanshaw.
Yep. And let's see. I mean, I think somebody else got some damage here, but I don't know who did. Gavel was right in front, right behind this incident. He's going to come down the track and pick up somebody right there. Maybe not. Daniel Gore
might have gotten a piece of the door. Daniel Gore might have gotten a piece of the wall, but I think for the most part.
And then Pecumer spins it out on the transition, but that's incidental. No damage on that. Now they got away with one there.
That's incredible.
Dave, can we go on board with
McIntosh completely locked up?
Either Ty or Danny, one of those two, they both should have a pretty good view of this incident. Get the onboard shot from Ty McIntosh and Daniel Gore. They see the car sideways, backed off. Great work by Ty McIntosh to get on the binders. This next gen car is real easy to slide those right fronts and just pile into something. Fantastic work. I always preach it. In one of these wrecks, you just jam on the brakes. You have a really good shot of getting away from the wreck without much damage at all.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier for sure. I highly recommend it. And now everybody's gonna come to pit road, and we're gonna
that'll clinch the.
Yeah.
You say you put 4 tires on it?
I don't know if I go 4 tires, but you gotta put enough fuel in it that you're not gonna worry about green, white checkers or whatever, right? So at least 2 tires, might as well.
Yeah.
I would say if you might be able to get 4 in, because it's gotta take close to a full tank anyway.
I think you get enough of a benefit of just taking the 2 right sides that I would do that. Blake Reynolds has made the 2 right sides call, as has Campbell, Fody, Thomas, Adams.
Johnny was 2 left sides, it looked like. I wonder if he had taken rights last time.
I don't think there's a whole lot of tire wear, honestly.
No.
Cool racetrack at night. These cars ain't sliding around. These guys got all the grip they need. You could have taken none. Would have been okay. Blake Reynolds will be off pit road with the race lead. Gerald Campbell second, Frank Fody third, Johnny Thomas fourth, Josh Adams fifth. Then it'll be Seth Rawls, Garrison Hogan, Gavin Higgins, Sean Judson, and Gilberto Javier. And maintaining what has felt like a race that could have a door wide open for a new race winner on the season, new race winner in their elite careers. First time winner for a winning streak breaker. This has set it up very nicely to have quite a few guys up here in contention for this win who are fighting against Blake Reynolds, right? It's kind of Blake Reynolds has kind of been that guy all night long. He's been up at the front of the field. He's really been able to control the race nicely. But aside from him, I'm not seeing a whole lot of race winners near the front of the field on this restart.
Right. And I think what makes that especially tricky, we saw a lot of riding around on that last run. That's probably about to go out the window because, like you say, all these guys know not only is it a chance to snap a winless streak or get a first career win, but that win, if you're not, one of those guys that's just not eligible for the playoffs from a lack of starts or not being able to get into the top 25 in points or whatever, that could get you into this playoff. So there's a lot on the line for a lot of these guys up front. All they have to do is win. But the problem is everybody around them is thinking the same thing.
Yep. So there's our wave arounds, a bunch of those guys grabbing a lap back, and they're going to be hoping for a quick yellow, and they may be getting lucky with this one. Mm-hmm. Tough night for Adriano Pinheiro in his first race in this Belly Up Sports Cup Series. That damage has really hindered the progress of that car. Dave should just go through the field and get all the way down to Ethan Burrell, the first car who's kind of out of this race back in 35th. So 34 cars still running, 30 cars on the lead lap with Chad Frankenfield having gotten back on the lead lap after the wave around. And with that, I would say Chad's car is pretty heavily damaged. Kyle Hanshaw's is pretty heavily damaged. Other than that, I would say there's probably 28 cars with a chance to win this race, Zach.
Oh, absolutely. Again, with the aggression that I expect we're going to see on this restart, even if you're 33rd, 34th, or maybe not that far back, but in that 25th range, right? And it turns into a wall of cars you just can't move through, they're probably going to wreck. Just wait.
Just wait. Yeah, there's something to be said for patience there in that one. Though that's what I thought in the Daytona 500. I restarted as one of those cars in the mid-20s, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stay on the bottom and wait. They didn't wreck till they came off turn 4, and I didn't actually pick up any spots, and I stayed in the 20s. So it sometimes it works for you, sometimes it doesn't. There's so much time left with so much aggression, and some of these guys up front that are just, I'll say, not used to being up front. They're going to be excited to be up front, and it's going to create some chaos. Pace car is off. Blake Reynolds back on the loud pedal. Not a good restart at all for Reynolds. And he's going to be matched up nicely with Gerald Campbell, but that outside line's all formed up. Johnny Thomas, Seth Rawls starting to move forward. Gerald jumps in line behind Blake Reynolds. Johnny Thomas with a big push from Seth Rawls. That's going to be where that energy starts to go, as though as Gerald Campbell, once he got to Blake Reynolds, that inside line took off.
Well, I think part of it, too, you mentioned those first 3 cars were formed up very nicely on the outside. Gilberto Javier was not. He was almost 2 or 3 car lengths back, and that just killed all the momentum on that outside lane.
Tough break there, but I think they're going to start to move back forward. Also got to look out for Josh Adams or Frank Fodi to move up the racetrack here and try to take over the lead of that outside line. Here comes Josh Adams up in front of Johnny Thomas. He'll be going for 3rd on Frank Fodi. Here comes Gerald Campbell up in front of Josh Adams. So the guys that have kind of been cycling the race lead all race long, and Gerald, Josh, Blake Reynolds, Frank Fodi, they're up here doing it all once again as Gerald Campbell goes to the race lead. Adams up to 2nd. Here comes Johnny Thomas alongside. It will be Gerald Campbell flashing to the bottom in front of Blake Reynolds, looking for a push from that number 66 car. Frank Fodi trying to deliver that push as Adams and Thomas linked up on that outside line, shoving forward. It'll be Josh Adams down the back straightaway with a chance to grab the race lead once again, and will do so.
Josh Adams back out front. You touched on the drought he hopes to end tonight. A lot of these guys up here looking for the first win in a long time, maybe a first ever win, and quite possibly a win that gets you into the playoffs.
The playoffs for me would be an afterthought. Just the level of talent and the difficulty it's been to grab a race win this season. I'm not even thinking about that, right? It doesn't matter if I think Frank Fodi's not eligible for the the playoff. I think he would be not able to get into the top 25. He's a little too far back.
Yes.
A win would still be massive for Frank, right? Like, it just doesn't matter when you've got a field this talented, a race this chaotic. You just got to go for it. You just have to go for it as much as you can, regardless of the reward, because you could potentially come out of here with a race win in this series, which would be something to definitely hang your hat on. And, be cool to say, hey, I'm a Belly Up Sports Cup Series winner. And I know Seth Rawls has been working towards that for a really long time. He's had several really close calls. Another guy that you put him in that spot, he's got to make that move and try to go out there and grab that race win. Adams pushing Johnny Thomas there, going to come up on the back of Dusty Dewar and put him on the lap down here. To Adams and Thomas working very well together right now, drafting out into the front of this field. Zach, I wouldn't want to be in that, getting that gap, though that gap did open up and allow for Seth Rawls to clear the inside lane and jump in front of Gerald Campbell. It leaves Gavin Higgins and Gilberto up in the top groove.
Yeah, I mean, it does put a couple of teammates there on the bottom, but like you say, that top line is built up ahead of steam, and I think it's going to keep going in that direction. Now our third lane is formed. Is that Ty McIntosh leading the outside?
It is David Tooker being pushed by Daniel Gore.
Another black car with yellow numbers. Dadgummit.
Ty McIntosh is 2 cars behind Daniel Gore there in that outside line, 4th car back. It is getting chaotic. Look at this, 3 wide, 5-6 rows deep. Johnny Thomas out in front of Josh Adams and Seth Rawls. Gerald Campbell, Gavin Higgins side by side. Of the top 5, I think there's the last win was Johnny Thomas at Rockingham in like 2024 B. Like, a lot of very fresh names up here in the front group as Blake Reynolds tries to make something happen that middle lane. He jumps in front of Gavin Higgins, but no real push for the 66 car to take. He's going to fall back a little bit. Here comes Frank Foti to the inside of him, gives a big push to Gerald Campbell. Inside line, the place you want to be. Everybody's trying to make those outside lines go. Oh, Trey Holmes almost got a piece of Mark Rabilas in the mid-pack. Now, how about Mark Rabilas, Zach? While he's up here, he's running right there in the about 13th, 12th spot. Moving forward, the blue and black car up in the middle lane and behind Michael Hosack. Early 10th, look at that.
Yeah, that's quite a run for Mr. Rebelus, who I believe won in the development series at either here or Talladega. I forget.
It was here. It was here at Daytona. Yeah. So Mark Rabilas, no stranger to victory lane, as it were, in the Elite Racing League at this racetrack. And he is currently in the top 10, running 8th right now. This pack is really starting to sort out into chaos. Almost an incident there. Gavin Higgins and Gilberto are pushing way off center. Here comes Johnny Thomas pushing Blake Reynolds up to the outside lane. Johnny faked it, went back to the bottom, got in behind Josh Adams, and shoved Blake Reynolds up to the top.
And maybe this will provide a navigational beacon for Gavin Higgins to get kind of that middle lane sorted out again if he's pushing instead of being pushed.
Gilberto got shuffled up to the outside lane. Oh, here comes Johnny Thomas for the second spot. Gilberto got shoved up to the outside lane, stopped up Trey Holmes and David Tooker. They're going all the way to the back. Meanwhile, Johnny Thomas up to the top. Race lead exchanged for the 83 car. Blake Reynolds now pushes him clear. They both move down to the bottom lane in front of Adams and Rawls. Can those two Shift Esports cars get hooked up and start shoving back towards this front pack? Reynolds is so aggressive, it's going to keep damaging him because these guys just are content to let him jump to the outside and move backwards. It doesn't feel like there's 16 laps to go.
No, it is already starting to feel like crunch time, and we've still got, like you say, 16 laps. I mean, that's a ways to go here, but guys making moves, getting to the front of the field. Johnny Thomas has got to fall back here. Boy, that was almost a sketchy moment there between Blake Reynolds and Josh Adams as they jostle for the lead.
Vandermeer shuffled to the outside. He swings back inside in front of Brian Schold. Josh Adams grabs the race lead over Reynolds. Reynolds keeps trying to go up there, grab the top spot on the bottom, but they keep just they're not letting him do it. And I love that from a bunch of guys who have not been up at the front of the field this season. They are doing everything in their power to put it into one of their hands. And look at the group we have up on this outside lane. Gavin Higgins, he's had a couple of really good runs this season, had some of those gremlin issues with the connections that have not allowed him to grab those finishes that he's deserved. He's had good runs. Michael Hosack running second on that outside lane. Mark Urbilis running third on the outside lane. They aren't pushing too great, though, right now. Blake Reynolds able to really generate that run on the bottom with Johnny Thomas, Josh Adams, Seth Rawls. They are now 5 cars clear on the bottom. Now 6 as Frank Fody goes to the inside of Gerald Campbell. Garrison Hogan swinging forward. Hey, how about Sean Judson? He's in the mix as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is. I don't, if there maybe there's some damage and he doesn't even realize it from some pushes or what the deal is. But it seems like if Gavin Higgins is leading that outside lane, nothing happens.
It's not a good spot. Mark Urbilis has been shuffled to the outside. He'll have to forge his way back forward in that 99. Crash! Leighton Norgard, Trey Holmes hard on the wall. Caution is out.
There you see a Leighton Norgard and Trey Holmes in the grass. Oh, hang on to it, Leighton.
Neither of these guys have really been able to find their way forward. And
it looks like they were trying to get around a slower car here, and there's got to be some contact.
Yeah, it's Chad Frankenfield, the slower car they're trying to get around.
Well, that's what you were talking about. You would prefer David Westergreen would prefer
yes,
the slower car being on the outside, and that is kind of why.
And Michael Goodman just ends up kind of with nowhere to go, makes a late call. I don't even know if he knew right until there that there was even a car coming, and maybe he didn't even know they were right tight 3 wide. And that's, I think the tally will end up going on Michael Goodman, but
yeah, I would imagine you're correct.
That's one of those situations where, boy, you would have Adriano Pinero, Caleb Pacumer, they were all running the top. Chad Frankenfield ran the bottom. And you would have preferred the other one. I would have preferred the other one, as you mentioned earlier. Just if you're back in the field, especially, then you don't have to worry about changing lanes. People changing lanes in front of you, and a car 20 miles an hour lower than you running in your lane. So, let's go ahead and take a quick commercial break before we come back to the conclusion of this race. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Have you ever just forgot to hold the brakes during a wreck? Are they just not able to pronounce your name in a race?
Paul Mikolajczyk.
Have you ever been wrecked by Chad? Hi, I'm Ray Bracey, and I'm here to share with you quick shifts. Watch all the highlights, lowlights, and other shenanigans in the top racing leagues, such as the Elite Racing League, and... But don't just take my word for it.
Before Quick Shifts, I was depressed. I wasn't able to relive my favorite moments from each race. Now with Quick Shifts, I can go out there and listen to all my favorite banter from the race while seeing all the crashes and good racing once again.
I don't remember life before Quick Shifts. I had to listen to Cameron Proke and Ty Mac and Cheese recap Oscar every week in the 3-wide TV booth, but now, thanks to Quick Shifts, I actually enjoy my Oscar recaps.
So try Quick Shifts. You suffered through it one time, why not suffer through it again?
Side effects of quick shifts include constipation, diarrhea, dizziness, dry mouth, abnormal heart rhythms, internal bleeding, numb tongue, unfiltered honesty, loud hiccups, laughing uncontrollably, mandatory dancing, midnight munchies, blue urine, red urine, no urine, and many more.
Welcome back to the Elite Racing Network coverage of the Belly Up Sports Cup Series BOJO's Quick Shifts to 50 at the virtual Daytona International Speedway. Before we return to the action, I want to take a minute to mention one of our premier partners here in the Elite Racing League, Worldwide Technology Raceway. Worldwide Technology Raceway is a motorsport racing facility in Madison, Illinois, just east of St. Louis, Missouri, close to the Gateway Arch. In the 2026 season, the 1.25-mile oval will host the NASCAR Cup Series, the NASCAR, wait for it, O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, and the NTT IndyCar Series. It also has a 2-mile infield road course used by Speed Tour, Trans Am, SCCA, and the Porsche Club of America, as well as a quarter-mile NHRA-sanctioned drag strip that hosts the annual NHRA Midwest Nationals, as well as the Kartplex, a state-of-the-art karting facility. For more information, visit www.traceway.com. That's www.traceway.com.
go. Thank you to WWT Raceway for being part of our premier partners for a long time now. Also, hey, shout out to Quick Shifts. BOJO's on a cruise tonight. That's why he is not here racing with us in that 7 car. But we're hoping that he is far away from the sim racing world and enjoying himself and his lovely wife on that cruise.
I've never been on a cruise, David.
No, me neither. I get seasick, but I hope he's having fun. Yep.
That's a shame.
Wouldn't you know it? It's the up and down. I can do the speedy, go fast. I don't mind going fast. Airplane, cool. It's up and down.
When we were in Chicago, we went to K1 or whatever, but you wouldn't be able to do one of those like really fancy go-kart tracks with like where it's like 2 or 3 stories in a warehouse or whatever.
No, I think it's the rhythmic motion of like the sea, like the up and down of the sea. Yeah, that would be my kryptonite
so, like,
there.
Mountain driving doesn't bother you.
It bothers me for other reasons.
Oh, no, that's fair.
We drove in Seattle, and I didn't mind the elevation changes or anything like that, but it was the proximity the proximity to the edge on the vehicle. I was like, I'm fine, but I'm just going to go slow here. I'm just going to take it easy.
We won't catch you traversing Pikes Peak anytime soon.
No, not quite that. Not quite that crazy. I prefer the old oval like a Daytona, just like this, and so. Blake Reynolds, Johnny Thomas, the front row for this restart. There will be about 10 laps to go once we get the green flag here. Josh Adams, Gerald Campbell, row 2. Seth Rawls, Garrison Hogan, row 3. Gavin Higgins, Frank Fody, row 4. Michael Hosack, Sean Judson, row 5. I've covered it all night long. Going to keep covering it. Going to keep pointing my finger to it. A lot of winless droughts in this top 10 and Blake Reynolds. Pace car is off. Blake Reynolds alongside Johnny Thomas heading towards that restart zone. 10 laps to go. We are green once again. Great restart for Reynolds and that bottom lane. Adams surges forward. Help from Seth Rawls. Those Shift Esports Fords are probably going to be clear of that outside lane. If they get to Blake Reynolds, I think they go right around him.
Oh.
I know I would. Campbell jumped underneath. Johnny Thomas moves back to the outside to go up top. Gerald Campbell is looking not to be denied tonight, man. He is running really well. Finds the outside lane once again. Johnny Thomas has been an excellent pusher up there. Great run for Gerald Campbell here. Here comes Gavin Higgins. Jumped to the outside in front of him. Shifty Sports Cars did not go. They stayed behind Blake Reynolds. That's not what I would have done. I would have used my teammate advantage to try and shuffle that 66 car back. As it stands, Reynolds to the lead. Adams second. Here comes Higgins and Campbell. Big run up top.
This is the best the line has looked with Gavin Higgins out front.
Yeah, Higgins has struggled to lead the line. Gerald Campbell's the car really making it go right now. Johnny Thomas is tucked right up behind Gerald Campbell as well. Very well formed. But here comes Campbell to the inside. Higgins slams the door. Campbell will have to be forced to sit in behind, but he going to get a big shove from Blake Reynolds. Big push from Garrison Hogan to the back bumper of Johnny Thomas. Higgins goes up top to block.
That's not going to keep working. You're not going to be able to keep playing Pied Piper very long. The runs are so strong.
Yeah, the runs are much too big for that. Daniel Gore way up to the outside lane. He's got push from Ty McIntosh and Ryan Gavel. 2 South Shore cars in the Lake Norman up to the top around Justin Vandermarl there. Thomas to the outside of Higgins for the lead. Here comes Campbell in line behind him. Johnny Thomas led that lap by 0.02 of a second. Gerald Campbell shoves him out to the race lead. Gore is right there, third car in line up on the top groove. That's a car that needs to win this race. Car behind him is a car that needs to win this race in the 10 Ty McIntosh.
Oh, it's getting tied up there.
Garrison Hogan moved to the top, cut off Daniel Gore. Really, it just gave him a speed boost because he got the draft of Hogan moving up forward. Now here comes Gore, looking to the outside of Hogan for that second spot. Campbell and Thomas side by side for the lead. Here comes Gore, big push from Ty McIntosh up top.
If that outside gets a little bit stronger, we're going to be 3 wide for the lead here in a lap or 2.
Inside's just so solid with Johnny Thomas, Gavin Higgins, Blake Reynolds all lined up right there. Ty's obviously going to get hot as well. What Danny needs right now is somebody to jump in front of him that he can push. It might be that 41 car of Frank Fody. Yeah, Frank needs to move up there to try and get it. Here comes Frank. Oh, but he couldn't make it stick. He's going to have to stay in line. The momentum dies. And Frank Fode's going to stay in line there on that middle lane. Gerald Campbell falling back. It is all Johnny Thomas and Gavin Higgins at the front. If they shuffle that line up at all, though, I think this outside line will move back forward. Here comes Blake Reynolds.
Reynolds to the outside. Can he lead that second lane? Johnny Thomas is going to try to shut that off.
Reynolds to the third lane.
The high side.
Gerald stuck snows down the middle. Reynolds is going to stack this outside lane up, but I think there's nobody else I'd want to lead that lane. Daniel Gore's going to try to shove him now. Blake Reynolds leading the top lane. They are way back, though. But Gore's got a ton of temp in that 69 car. I think this outside line might surge forward. Oh, Frank's out 4 wide. Michael Hosak shoved Frank 4 wide. Oh, they're going to get it turned. Frank into Daniel Gore. It took all the South Shore cars with it. The yellow flag is out. Ryan Gable's involved. Gore involved. Ty McIntosh involved.
Harrison Talent, I believe.
Yep. It all started. Frank got shuffled to the inside here, and they run out of room going into turn 3 here. This is just one of them 4 wide situations, which is funny because it's not the first time Daniel Gore's been spun from 4 wide in this race.
No.
But, it's if you had a nickel for each time, you'd have 2. It's weird it happened twice, though.
Yeah.
Here's Harrison. Jaden Racimus gets a piece of this. Ryan Gable a piece of this as well. I don't think the damage is all that severe on Ty or Daniel. Gable's got the meatball flag of this group. So I think when he got punched into the wall by the 41 car, that's what did the damage right there. And Harrison's kind of disappeared.
It comes back eventually. There he is. Hi.
There he is. Yep. So maybe if we can get this wreck from the TV view here and one more time, see if we can't get a full shot at speed. Really good save by Justin Vandermarl up ahead of this group, but there it is. 5 cars into the wall. A 6th about to spawn in right there. Only ending, I believe, the night of 1, but if Ryan Gable does have a meatball flag and does have a significant amount of damage to finish well back in the field here, that would open the door for Daniel Gore to make up the points needed to go around Ryan Gable, but he was also involved in the wreck.
Wait, is this live?
I think it is. I think this car is hurt.
You could say that. I would say if he's still in the... Yeah, he's it is having a hard time going in the direction he wants it to go. There's a wall there, Ryan.
This car might be done for the evening.
It's okay. Sponsors getting airtime here.
Who's the tap? What's the race control?
It's going to be on Frank.
There we go. Thank you.
So we'll continue with our adventure with Ryan Gable through the grass here, but I think Ryan might just need to. We're trying to find our way to pit road.
Tow trucks work. Tow trucks work.
Yeah. This is certainly one of the adventures that I've ever watched in the Belly Up Sports Cup Series. This car will not turn.
I have another sound clip I can't play right now. I'm going to keep it family friendly, but if you're familiar with the work of Robin Miller, just play it in your head and don't say anything else. Love you, Ryan.
I'm curious whether race control will step in there.
I mean, I think they have to do something if he doesn't resolve it himself, because what you don't want is for it to delay a restart, especially because
I believe
I can't
he
see.
he's resolved it. He has resolved
Okay.
the issue himself now.
Yeah, because depending on when this restart is, I don't know if this is going to be one of our attempts at overtime or not.
They are 1 to green.
So we're going to restart on 98? So that'd be a 3-lap shootout. Okay. 3-lap shootout still in regulation. Should we need it? Should we need it? 3 attempts at overtime, green, white, checkered. If the caution comes out on the first lap, we'll try it again. After the white flag is out, iRacing will not let you throw the yellow flag, period, point blank. It will be a race to the checker.
So let's restack. Johnny Thomas, the race leader. Gavin Higgins sitting in P2. Josh Adams, P3. Seth Rawls, 4th. Gerald Campbell, 5th. Sean Judson, 6th. Garrison Hogan, 7th. Blake Reynolds in 8th. Michael Hosak, 9th. Paul Mikolajczyk, 10th. In that top 10, one car has won a race this season, that being Blake Reynolds in 8th. And a lot of those guys haven't won in multiple years. Not seasons of this league. We run 2 seasons a year. Years. Some of these guys haven't won ever. Gavin Higgins, Seth Rawls, never won a Belly of Sports Cup Series race. Hell, I'll throw Sean Judson in there too, up in the outside lane in that 97 car. That guy's never won a race. You never know what can happen here at Daytona. Blake Reynolds is going to fight to get back up to the lead here, but some real experience, some guys that have won races on this racetrack as well. Johnny Thomas, a former Daytona 500 winner, experience at the front. Josh Adams has led a lot of laps, won a lot of races in other series at Daytona. I don't recall if he's won a Daytona in this series, but if he has, it's been since at least 2023, because that's the winning streak Josh Adams is looking to break. The winless streak Josh Adams is looking to break tonight. Base car is off. 3 laps to go to decide the quick shifts 250. Josh Adams, Seth Rawls get really good jumps here, and it's going to push Gavin Higgins out to the race lead. I have to look and see. He did get a black flag. Gavin Higgins, black flag.
Oh.
And I think it's rather clear he was way early on the restart that time. He's going to have to jump to the bottom and pit, but there's not really anywhere to go. Johnny Thomas working to the inside now with Josh Adams. What do you do? Blake Reynolds to the inside of Sean Judson. Gavin Higgins can't really do anything except for ride in that line. He's going to move to the bottom. He's really just got to go down pit road right now this time. Otherwise, he will get penalized and lose everything, and maybe a caution comes out for him. But Higgins is going to pit out of the race lead. Rawls to the lead. The inside line is crushed. Higgins does not pit. Interesting call. Seth Rawls to the race lead. Blake Reynolds second. Mikolajczyk working towards third. The Channel 199 cars are all formed up in that outside line. Here comes Paul Mikolajczyk down to the inside underneath Reynolds. Rawls jumps to the bottom. He'll block off Mikolajczyk. Hogan working against Reynolds. Back bumper up top. That's the line that's going to have the big run. Big push to Rawls off turn 2. It squirrels up the 25. Oh. Spinner, it's Hosak. No caution. They're going to continue to race 3 wide. Here comes Mikolajczyk to the outside. This is the final lap, I believe. We're showing one to go. So here we go. Final lap. Seth Rawls. They wreck huge. Giant wreck. Seth Rawls on the bottom trying to steam to the line. Mikolajczyk with the side draft. They bump. They draft. Seth Rawls is going to win the Quick Shifts 250. I don't think Gavin Higgins is going to get credit for that second place finish. It will be Mikolajczyk second, Adams third, Campbell fourth. Seth Rawls will be an Elite Belly Up Sports Cup Series winner. And he really needs to thank Gavin Higgins for just not pitting. I think that was the big key there.
Yeah, I think that a little bit of a 2001 Pepsi 400 situation there where staying on track after receiving the black flag, and it'll be interesting to see how that's received amongst the competition.
Yeah, I think he was well ahead of the leader and went before the leader before that, but we will let race control determine that. They cleared the black flag because they can always penalize him later. But that'll be reviewed, I'm sure. It ultimately works out that it'll be Seth Rawls, maybe Gavin Higgins, and then Paul Mikolajczyk, but that's a long time coming for Seth Rawls. You do feel good about that. And he will, pick up this race win. That's awesome. Seth Rawls has been running for a really long time in this Lee Belly Up Sports Cup Series. He has been very close to winning multiple races, and obviously he needed a win. He was barely in on points before this. Now he will lock in for sure. As I look through the results, Daniel Gore 13th, Ryan Gable 33rd. I think Daniel Gore will make the playoffs over Ryan Gable.
We will await official word, but I have a sneaky suspicion you might be onto something there.
Gable got a couple of stage points, but that is a 19 plate position gap, and I don't believe he got enough points to get up to 19 ahead of Daniel Gore.
Right.
Or the 20-point gap, but yeah, still. Looking through the finishing order, Connor Thompson comes home P6, Justin Wadsworth 7th, Matthew Weeks 8th, Kyle Hanshaw 9th, Justin Vandermarl 10th. Before we go to Mikolajczyk, Dave, can we scroll back to the wreck on the last lap and take a quick look at that? Like, we'll get the whole last lap here. So turn 3, I would say, is probably the place we want to go to.
And further back.
Yeah, it'll actually be Blake who gets sent into the wall here. There's Hosak, but it was Blake. I think it might have been Vandermarl, honestly, that gets a piece of them. No, maybe not. Right there. There it is, right there. Johnny Thomas sent head on into the wall. Blake Reynolds head onto the wall. It looks like whoever that inside car is got up the track just a little bit.
And Hook
Josh
Garrison.
Adams. Yeah,
Hook
Josh
Garrison
Adams.
Johnny. Yep.
And sent Blake, Johnny, and Garrison all crashing out of top 5 runs. Wow.
Might have been.
They might have been able to push Paul Mikolajczyk to the win if that doesn't happen.
Might have been some net code as well.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's talk to Paul Mikolajczyk as we finish reviewing this. And Paul, congrats on P3, but it looks like it might end up being P2. Take us through your night there and your chance to win there on the white flag lap.
Yeah, I mean, I started off just essentially doing the Denny Hamlin, just hanging out there in the back, just letting everybody else clear each other out early. And then after the stage started going, and I progressively got more and more upset every single time I restarted on the bottom. I'm just really bummed about the ending. If Blake didn't get cleared out, I think I easily had that. Oh, that sucks. Hold on, I have to mute Chad.
That never happens. I don't know what you're talking about.
The time.
Oh, man. And I mean, Paul, you're going to... Oh, go ahead, Zach.
No, I was just going to say, I'll ask if you're... I mean, before you muted at least Chad, if not everybody else, do you have an idea? Are we looking at second or third for you right now?
Well, I don't know. I can see Chad's black box popping up. Mm-hmm. So I have no idea. I'm fine with either way. It really doesn't affect me if second or third, because I was already locked in. But yes. I was really hoping for the win just because it's a win and like a confidence thing. At least it shows me I have speed for Talladega. I know it's a little bit. I usually prefer Talladega over Daytona, anyways. So because I always like being able to move a lot more. Because in the first round of the playoffs, I'm going to miss a race because I'm going to the championship race in Phoenix. Mm-hmm. So it's gonna be hard for me to move on to the next round without a win.
Gotcha.
Second
Yeah,
or third doesn't
gotcha.
matter.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, Paul, it seemed like a good one. I was going to ask about the playoffs, but it seems like that's kind of the ticket for you. So, in terms of the playoffs and the way this season has gone, we talked to you a couple of times this year. I mean, what does a successful finish out to this season look like for you?
Playoffs was my goal because I knew I could easily get there if I just finished every race. I don't know how the points reset after each like elimination. Anything that gets me the most money, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, that's about it. Just trying to finish as best as possible and hopefully try to pull in a win. These tracks, and I don't know the rest of the schedule, but definitely Talladega I have a chance.
And before we let you go, who do you have to thank on this finish tonight?
I'm gonna thank all my Channel 109 teammates that survived. We're all talking there, and especially me, Garrison, Blake, trying to orchestrate how to move forward from where we were. I also like to thank my sponsors. Let me read my car real quick. Next Level Racing, Wellscope Financial, Penguin RC, Apex Custom PCs, and Racecraft Academy. Use code Racecraft at checkout for Next Level Racing. I'll say it. There we go.
Gotcha. Well, congrats on what looks like it's going to be P2 for you, Paul. Good race and one spot short, but maybe you'll get there at Talladega like you're hoping for.
Hopefully. Peace out. Thanks, guys, for the broadcast. You guys are always fun to talk to.
Appreciate it. We'll see you next week. Let's grab, I guess it'll be P3, Josh Adams.
That's what it's looking like, yes.
Yeah, so Josh Adams, P3. Led a lot of laps tonight, Josh, but unfortunately coming up, really it was about 3 spots short, but you'll take 2 spots short after all is said and done. Take us through your race tonight, which was pretty strong from start to finish, but ultimately just a little bit shy.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys saw it, and I wanted to have myself in the position basically 100% of the time to be there and try and win it for myself. And it came up a little bit short, but definitely wasn't for a lack of effort.
And certainly you spent a lot of time up front. You mentioned that, what was kind of, obviously the game plan was be up front as much as possible, lead as many laps as possible. But when it came down to the end of the race, is there anything you were trying to do differently there, or did it just not work out?
Yeah, the whole restart, the last restart just didn't work out where, the 20 got the penalty going a little bit early. I think I got a little bit of a head start on Johnny, and I kind of gave him a shot. I think that slowed us down on the bottom. But really what I wanted to do is, get to Johnny, like perfect timing, push him out a little bit, and, really kind of just hang him out, see what happened. Like I told Seth, my teammate, that I wanted to try and get to the top as soon as possible, just in case there was a caution, so I could control one of them restarts. But that restart, the way it happened, just didn't let that materialize. But if I could have done anything differently, I would have probably just tried not to get that head start on Johnny and just kind of seen what would have happened to turn 1 or off of turn 2.
And Josh, I wasn't exactly familiar with your situation for the playoffs. I was pretty sure you needed to race your way in, but still, I mean, this is a season best result for you. And, definitely a spot where, we thought you would probably be contending in, at Daytona and probably at Talladega later in the year. So does this at the very least give you some confidence going into those races that you'll be able to, I think, race for another race win here?
Oh, it does. I mean, I haven't had the greatest season, but the races that I've shown up and had good results, I've been trying the best I can. I just haven't had the best luck. I just kind of need that to turn. I don't qualify real well. I qualified good tonight, and that showed, so I was able to stay up there. But when any of these races, as long as they're not a road course, I always try and run as close to the front as I can.
And before we let you go, Josh, who do you have to thank on this finish tonight?
Oh yeah, just everybody at Shift Esports. We got, I think maybe our first Cup win with Seth, so that was awesome. Connor showed up tonight. Gilberto, myself, we ran. They're in the top 5 for a second, mid race or so. But everybody at Juicy Spider that that's on my car, the High Side Podcast. Chad for the league, giving us a fun place to race. You guys up here in the booth, you put on a great show. This will be one I'll actually go back and watch because I ran good. So looking forward to that.
Gotcha. Thanks, Josh. And congrats on P3. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Now let's grab. I put him in the wrong chat. I sent him up with let's go on the air. How about that? Let's put you here. Seth Rawls, I can finally say it, Elite Belly Up Sports Cup Series winner. How does that feel, man?
Dude, I thought I was in trouble right there. I was in the freaking hauler. That was scary.
Misclicked.
I said, oh, shoot. I'm getting brought into interrogation.
Broadcaster, put the old misclick on it.
You're good. That was insane, honestly. That was crazy. I don't know how Denny Hamlin does it, because that was the most stressful thing, trying to manage my team, but also try to go for the win myself. And he's not even on the same team, but because I obviously really wanted Josh to get that to get the win and in, and then I was pretty fine on points, but honestly just rode the momentum train and somehow found my way to the first of the line there on the last lap. But yeah, thank you big time. Obviously everyone's shift means a lot to get my first cup win. It's been, I think, maybe 3 years since my Bathurst Xfinity win, which is just a while ago, and I was really just begging for a checkered flag here recently. But yeah, it was insane.
And I mean, to talk about insane, kind of walk us through that last restart, because like you said, you were in that weird position that a couple of teams were in. We talked about during the night, where one guy needed to, just needed a good points night, another guy really needed to win, and you were kind of in one of those awkward situations, but you were able to come out with the victory.
Yeah, no, I mean, once that last yellow came out and it split me and Josh to the inside and outside, he was third, I was fourth, or whatever it was. That was kind of like, it was a 2 to go restart. Like, we're not going to be able to line up with each other, I don't think, unless a crazy thing happens. But the 20 messaged me the lap before the restart, and he said to hit me as hard as possible. And I think I timed up pretty well. I think he might have gotten the gas a little too early trying to match my bump. I mean, that's why I got the penalty. So I feel bad, obviously, for Gavin. I think he ran a great race, and I appreciate him pushing me to the line there, even though he had a black flag. But yeah, I think just that last restart was insane. I thought about taking the run from Paul there on the backstretch, but I knew those guys, Channel 199 guys, were going to work together. So I was going to shuffle like the 500. So I stayed bottom and kind of trusted my NR 2003 bottom line kind of momentum there, and just and held on to it.
And Seth, the unspoken part of this, obviously, I mean, I think a race win in this series is really significant. So you know what? I'm going to ignore the playoff question. You were kind of on the bubble. I don't think it matters. What matters to me is how far you've come to get to the point of being a Belly Up Sports Cup Series winner, because this series is as talented now as it's ever been. And to be able to put yourself on that echelon with those guys, I mean, isn't that just like the culmination of all that hard work? And I mean, you and I have raced together for 3 or 4 years now. I mean, you've it's been I've seen you win some races, but I've seen you lose far more. So this is definitely a feel good win for me, and I just want to very least shout it out and give you the floor to note those things, because I feel like it's a exciting point for you.
Thank you. I mean, this season, this is the high, obviously, but I was at my lowest at Atlanta. That was probably my worst moment ever on the sim. And I still think about it to this day, getting off pit road. It was just a stupid mistake, and that was like literally my low point. And I really thought I just threw away the season, from that, a couple of mess ups, Pocono, stuff like that, and Bristol, obviously the netcode or the disconnect. But man, this makes it all better, and that's like the magic of sim racing. So, it means a lot for the words. Obviously, we've been racing together for a while. All of you guys in the booth, Zach, David, we've been going back for a while now. So, And honestly, it hasn't set in yet, but that was probably definitely top 5 moment this year for me. So top 3 moment. That's really fun. I'm definitely gonna sleep well tonight.
And before we let you go, who do you have to thank for this win?
Yeah, I've been freaking dying to get Taylor Digital Solutions into Victory Lane. They've been with me for 2 years now, I think. It's actually a company I work for, Taylor Pelletier. We run a marketing company. We do everything from social media management, websites, event management, graphic design, you name it. We're your people. We're tailored for small businesses. So reach out if you have a small business. I'm more than happy to connect. So super happy to get her and us really into Victory Lane. She's been awesome supporting me in my side hobby of sim racing. And obviously, Shift Esports, great work all night tonight. Connor won last night, the Freedom 100. So we're kind of rolling here. The boys are buzzing. But yeah, I'm super stoked. And if you need a paint scheme, reach out. Gonna do some commissions over the off season. So if you want your ride looking sweet, hit up SR Design or SethRellsDesign.com. And obviously, you guys, I'm so excited to watch this race back. I watch it back every week. And wait, is Ray doing a quick shift or no?
Well, somebody will have it for him.
Oh God, I'm praying.
We'll see if he. You ought to be able to bring one. It is the Quick Shifts 250, so but he's on vacation.
Yeah.
So
I know
he's
on the races and vacation. So, thank you to you guys. Thank you to Ray for doing those awesome videos. I was gonna get a chuckle, even though Atlanta I did not have a good chuckle, but yeah, it's awesome bounce back, and yeah, super excited to be here.
Got it. Well, thank you, Seth. Congratulations on your first win, and hopefully you got a few more in you. But a really strong night for you, and it's awesome to see you in Victory Lane, man.
Let's go. Thank you.
And with that, Zach, the storyline I tried to bring up all night long did come to fruition. A first-time winner here in the Elite Belly Up Sports Cup Series. What a night! What a race! It was awesome. I do want to call out Johnny Thomas. Was real close. Restarted with the race lead, got crashed out. Just a quick shout to him there on that last lap. And hey, how about Adriano Pinheiro picks up P17 in his very first Belly Up Sports Cup Series race. So we await the playoff announcement, but what a night. Great race.
What a fantastic race. Of course, like you say, still awaiting an official word on the points, the playoff grid. Looking at the points as they are displayed right now on Sim Racer Hub, I think you've absolutely nailed it that Daniel Gore is going to get in at the expense of Ryan Gable. Daniel Gore is currently showing 15th in points. I say 15th because with the starting park, Zach Novak technically slid outside the top 16. He'll still make the playoffs with those 2 wins, but that did move up the bubble to kind of between 15th and 16th. So I believe that puts, barring any changes from what we're seeing right now in Sim Racer Hub, that would put Daniel Gore in, Justin Vandermeerl, Ryan Schuld, Ryan Gable just on the outside. So we'll see if there's an official update on that. Stay tuned to Elite Racing League's social media platforms for that. Regardless, we'll be back next week at Kansas. I'm pretty sure I said Kentucky last week, but Kansas for 200 miles to kick off that playoff. The first round has, an intermediate, your standard mile and a half with Kansas, and then we go road course racing at Road America. I won't be here for that one. And then we go super speedway racing again at Talladega. You heard Paul Mikolajczyk. He's got that one circled because especially if he ends up missing, I guess that would be Road America while he's out in Phoenix. He's going to need a win at Talladega to move on. So I'm sure a lot of people will have that mindset after the pitfalls of 2 playoff races anyway. We'll see how that plays out.
It should be an exciting watch. Be sure to tune back into the Elite Racing Network. Hit that subscribe button if you're going to be, looking forward to these races, and we'll happily bring them back to you. So same time next week for all of us over here, David Westergreen, Zach Evans, and David Huckleberry. That was the Quick Shifts 250, and we'll see you next time.